LiberalViewer presents.
So there's been a lot of coverage of WikiLeaks' publication of sensitive documents from the American government recently, and one surprising aspect of that coverage has been the way some of the more traditional parts of the media have been willing to attack the messenger despite being professional messengers themselves, and nowhere has that hypocrisy been more evident than on Fox News, where a segment on this subject on the O'Reilly Factor last week began disparaging WikiLeaks from the outset, as you can see in the introductory teaser in this clip.
Huge embarrassment for the USA. Thousands of secret State Department documents exposed by a sleazy website.
Now, I'm not sure if being called sleazy by Fox News is actually an insult, and that kind of name-calling on the O'Reilly Factor is hardly worth mentioning, but the real misinformation in this segment began when O'Reilly brought on Fox News anchor Megyn Kelly explicitly for her skills as an attorney to explain to viewers how the law applies to WikiLeaks, as you can see here.
What can the Obama administration do legally to stop WikiLeaks? Here now, attorney and Fox News anchor Megyn Kelly.
Now, after promising viewers Megyn Kelly's appraisal as an attorney, her actual analysis ended up being pretty superficial, giving an unacceptably broad reading to the federal espionage law after first only objecting to WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange being charged with treason based on Assange's citizenship, rather than explaining anything he's done that's treasonous, as you can see in this clip.
Legally speaking, the United States options against this man are very limited.
They're pretty limited, yeah. We can't go after him for treason because he's not a United States citizen, owes no allegiance to the U.S. But I believe we can go after him for espionage. That statute is very broadly drafted. You basically have to gather, transmit, or receive defense information and have reason to believe that that information will be used to hurt America or help foreign countries. So you got him.
Now, despite Megyn Kelly's claim there that we got him on espionage charges, the problem with the broadly drafted federal espionage law that Megyn Kelly quoted there is that her interpretation is so broad it would apply to any media publication of the information, no matter how journalistically legitimate, and would even be so broad as to apply to that very segment of the O'Reilly Factor in which Fox News actually showed the leaked information, which is why any responsible lawyer would have informed viewers that such a broad interpretation would raise serious constitutional issues, as you can see stated, for example, by one such responsible lawyer, Hina Shamsi, director of the National Security Project of the American Civil Liberties Union, who explained, quote, "The courts have made clear that the First Amendment protects third parties who publish classified information," unquote. And you can read an opinion from the U.S. Supreme Court addressing this exact subject in that famous Pentagon Papers case back in 1971, including Justice Douglas's concurring opinion that discussed the exact section of the Espionage Act that Megyn Kelly quoted, concluding that Congress never meant that section to apply to publication of information because, quote, "Congress was capable of and did distinguish between publishing and communication in the various sections of the Espionage Act," unquote, and when Congress considered a version that did apply to publication, quote, "The First Amendment was specifically cited and that provision was defeated," unquote. But Megyn Kelly never mentioned the major First Amendment problem with prosecuting WikiLeaks for espionage, never even mentioning the First Amendment at all in her entire legal analysis that you can watch in full for yourself at tinyurl.com/FoxWikismear, and this Fox News smear is especially hypocritical because the same First Amendment that Fox News failed to mention is the same First Amendment that protects Fox News from legal liability for the vast amount of misinformation they broadcast, while WikiLeaks actually does the job of a journalist by exposing government deception and does a better job of it than the more traditional news organizations, as Julian Assange pointed out himself in an interview at the TED conference earlier this year, right at the beginning here.
The rest of the world's media is doing such a bad job that a little group of activists is able to release more of that type of information than the rest of the world press combined.
And now, I don't know if that's true or not, but I do think that when WikiLeaks publishes this kind of information directly related to important public policies, it's performing exactly the journalistic function the First Amendment was meant to protect and that informed citizens would want to protect from government prosecution. But I want to know what you think. Should the First Amendment protect WikiLeaks and Julian Assange from prosecution for espionage? And given the amount of accurate information Julian Assange has given the American people compared to the vast amount of misinformation broadcast by Fox News, which Australian-born media entrepreneur is more of a threat to the United States? WikiLeaks' Julian Assange or Fox News' Rupert Murdoch?
YouTube, you decide.